Hi guys, welcome to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome to another Premier Division review show. I suppose, Keane and JP, we have to start off with the first game. That's St.Patrick Celtic 2, Derry City 0. Goals from Benson and Dara Burns, who got his first professional goal at the age of 18. Fantastic goal it was, to be fair, as well. But JP, we'll start off with you first. The first 10 or 15 minutes, Derry actually started off quite well, actually, and had a number of half chances, I would say. It was a mistake from, might be in Birmingham, and Akintunde got him an opportunity, which he messed up, to be fair. But Danny Lopano, 2 yellow cards, didn't help Derry's cause. Ridiculous yellow cards, as in they were yellow cards, but just stupidity, I felt. I can't use a better word, to be honest there. What do you think, JP?
I just think he summed it up perfect there, but unfortunately that's been the story of our season so far, that the chances that we're getting are coming off mistakes by defenders. It's not really from our own play point of view. For Danny Lopano, there's no excuses for the second yellow card. Absolutely no excuses whatsoever. I don't care what age you are. You should not be getting yellow carded like that. The first one, it's one we see every week in every level of football. Defender going in for a tackle, striker beats him to it, and he brings him down. That's you can excuse that one. He's trying to win the ball, but look, the second one, defenders or the strikers beat him. Let him go. Get back into position. Don't give the referee a choice. He's probably pulled him back, hoping that the referee would give him one more. But look, you can't. It was blatant yellow card. The referee had no choice.
Like, even in those situations, sorry, JP, like, even if the opposition go on to score a goal from that, it's still like, you know, keep 11 on the pitch, like, you know, at that point as well. Even if, and there was no immediate threat, that there was no definite goal being scored there or anything like that. Like,
no, because he was running in the corner, so he still had to run, get the ball, then head back towards the penalty area or cross it in. So there was plenty of time to get back into position to cut out the cross. I didn't think that we were ever like dominating the game or anything like that. I felt there was a lot of time the ball went into midfield. We were just rushing the ball forward. Look, I like that idea of getting the ball early, put it into channels, get Parkhouse, get the defender's turn. But a lot of it in the first opening 20-25 minutes was aimless, in my opinion. But I had no hope of getting anything from this game, to be honest. And I felt that we were defending well, because I thought we were frustrating St. Pat's up to the red card, because St. Pat's, they were getting chances, but they were getting frustrated because they were keeping the ball, but they were knocking it sideways. They weren't trying to penetrate and pass. And after the red card, all hope had gone for Derry, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Keane, JP's right there, actually, in fairness. Before the red card, like, a lot of Pat's pass, I remember being a little frustrated watching it, saying, they're passing it back the whole time. How many times did it go back to Yaris and things like that? It was a little bit frustrating, he's right. But they did kick into gear maybe a couple of minutes before the red card, and as soon as the red card, I think Matty Smith or Billy King had a shot brilliantly saved by the goalkeeper, so Garth's side. So by that point, you felt confident enough as those Pats were going to go on and win the match, didn't you, in fairness?
First 15 minutes was anyone's game, really. I don't think anyone was involved in the game. I don't think anyone was pressurising any team. I thought Derry were actually very good defensively in the first 15 minutes. They were very well drilled. I was very impressed. Like, you're saying them passes were going back to Yaros into the centre halves. But that wasn't because Pats wanted to play there. Derry had them there, and Derry were doing really well to keep them there. And I was really impressed watching how Derry were actually defending in the game. Fourth yellow card, no question about it. Yellow card, people say it's probably a bit early, but JP the Great, it's a yellow card all day. You know, fairness, Matty Smith is clever. You know, Matty's a clever player. If you actually look back, I went back and looked at a couple of Waterford results last year and stuff, and he does the exact same thing. And you know, yeah, he's excellent, and he's so quick and he's so clever. So teams are going to be getting yellow cards out of him, basically. Look, he's a young lad, and I personally, I'm a Pats fan. Look, we'll take it all day long. But in terms of the game, and in terms of like the watching the game, I was very disappointed that a red card was actually given, if you know what I mean. Because like it was all one-way traffic. Then I think 5 minutes before the red card, as you're saying, I thought it was only a matter of not how many of when Pats were actually going to score. That's what it felt like for the whole game. And I think Derry were the same, even though they contained them very well until half time. In terms of the second half performance, I would feel, look, it's against 10 men, but I think people need to give Pats a little bit of credit because it's very, very hard to play against 10 men. And look, we've seen it even in the Premier League this week with Leeds United. Look, it's so hard. No, it really is. It's so hard to play against 10 men because you're looking at the game and you know that they don't have an immediate threat. But, you know, if you start going hell for leather, pushing up, and all of a sudden then you find yourself exposed and it's 1-0 Derry, and it happens every week. So I have to say, I think Pats were absolutely superb in managing the game and very, very patient, and he just walked Derry's back line. Like Derry was literally just going left to right for the whole second half, and it was draining to watch. I would say for Derry, and the clock must have been going so slow. But like that's a credit to Pats for what they done. Like usually you see a red card and then it's go hell for leather and you might even get caught out. You know, I thought Pats managed the game well. Believe it or not, I think if we scored 10 minutes later, we probably would have been going a bit gung-ho at it. I thought we were very patient and we scored at the right times in the game. It just kind of kill it, you know, and Dara Bones coming off. I backed them last week. Bobby's backed them, and you know, what an excellent performance it was again from him. Now, that's his third game this year, and the third game he's actually made a real statement to play. So, you know, you can only take your chances as a young kid. And to cut back on his right from that position and hit the side netting from there. And, you know, I wasn't even a power shot, you know, it was just precision, and it was in that spot, and no keeper was getting down that low to get it. No keeper was. So you have to say it was an excellent performance from Pats. And I think that second half performance is probably going to be as easy as it gets in terms of this season. I don't think we're ever going to get a game that's going to be that easy again. I really don't. I can't see, like, even Derry going to Brandywell and stuff, you're not going to get a game like that again off of anybody. So the 10 men killed it and around the game as such. But look, as a Pats man, you'll take it all day long.
JP, what do Derry have to do for the game against Shamrock Rovers on Tuesday, isn't it? What do they have to improve on? Do you think there was some good things they could take out of the game despite that, though?
If they cut out the individual errors, that's basically that. And they have to get on the ball more in midfield. As I said earlier, every time a ball went into midfield, the first time it was getting knocked forward. And look, I like the idea of that, but there has to be a purpose when you're doing that. They can't just fire it forward and hope for the best. Because we're not going to see a lot of the ball against Shamrock Rovers. We know that. So when you do get the ball, you have to make the most of it. And I think that's what they have to change. They have to cut out the individual errors. In the opening 20-25 minutes, I saw a good compact team. I thought we were compact. We were frustrating Pats. We were going to be tough to break down, even though Pats did get in a couple of times behind us. I think Nathan Gardside responded well in the game to his error the week before. So I think that was a positive. I know we got a lot of stick for the penalty, but for giving away the penalty. But he is a good keeper. He's a young keeper, and unfortunately he's been on the bench for 2 years, so he hasn't had that chance to develop the way our young players at the club have been able to. They give 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Nathan's been
to a keeper.
Nathan's been sitting waiting for his chance, and now he's got it. And I've no doubt that Nathan will be a top keeper for us, but we need to give him a chance.
JP, just a quick one while you're there. I must say it must have been frustrating to look at, like you said, they're rushing everything in the middle. Like, you know, you're so used to Derry. You are in probably not in 2 recent seasons, but you're so used to Derry picking the ball up and going at teams and, you know, really having the run of the midfield and bossing the midfield, and not even by great play, just by being physical and being hard. And they just seemed a bit, look, I know they're a young side and I know it's work in progress. Like you said, it's only 3-4 weeks into a 5-year plan or whatever it is. But it must be very frustrating to see, like, you have the players. You know, you should be able to. Look, I'm not going to say you have the same players as, let's say, Pat's midfield, but you should be able to lay more of a glove on them.
It's hugely frustrating because, and people keep saying it's a young side. It's a young squad, but the first 11 or 12 should be good enough.
Yep.
They get points on the board against Longford, against Waterford,
Exactly.
put up more of a fight against St. Pat's. I'm always behind the manager. I'll never ever go on social media or ever call for a manager's head. I'm not going to start doing it now. But there's just something needs to change, especially against Shamrock Rovers. Whether it's a change of tactics, whether it's a change of system, person, who knows? Only the management team will know that. Only the players will know that. But it's hugely frustrating watching the ball going into midfield and the midfielders just looking to get rid of it. Instead of we made a huge mistake, I think, letting Conor McCormick go, because Conor McCormick mopped up everything in front of that back four. He got us on the ball. He controlled the midfield for us. Look, I know he wanted to move closer to his family, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, he still had another year to go. The club could have turned around and says, look, Conor, give us another few months till we find somebody that's capable of replacing you, and then we'll let you go. I just think that was a huge mistake, because once he left, we lost all physicality in the midfield. Kieran Harkin, I don't think, is a quarterback. He's not the man to sit in the front. He has to be played further forward. A bit like Keir Martin, running off of strikers, getting on the ball in between the lines. Joe Thompson, he's come over from Scotland. I like Joe. He likes to get forward as well. But we need somebody in that midfield that's going to get their foot on the ball and bring the forwards into play. We're going to have to ride it out now until July. And hopefully that we can start to win games in other ways, because we're not going to win games by bossing the midfield.
Big game on Tuesday against Shamrock Rovers as well. But we'll move on to Dundalk and Bohemians. Finished 1-0 to Bohemians at Oriel Park. And this was a fantastic win for Bohemians. I thought the game was actually quite open overall. High pressing, a lot of gaps. Probably should have been more goals. The penalty, watched back. Yeah, 100% a penalty in my opinion. Cian, what did you think overall?
Yeah, I actually predicted Bows to win this. I just thought they'd have enough about them. I just thought they'd have that little bit extra to give. I was impressed with Bows' performance. I think they needed that. And look, I think if anybody ever had any questions about Bows, it's gone after this weekend. I thought they were excellent. Look, they were out there looking the first few minutes when they hit the crossbar and stuff like that. But acting against that, I thought they were fairly comfortable. I thought Bows in the game, and there wasn't much in it. Look, that Dundalk should have had a penalty at the end. There's no question about it either. Let's be honest. Like I was sitting there. I was shocked there wasn't.
Are you agreeing, JP, as a referee?
Oh yeah. I was on McKean. I couldn't. I was shocked that it wasn't given. I called it. I was sitting there watching it. I called it straight away. I was expecting the penalty to be given.
You look at the reactions. I always look at the reactions, and like if you look at if two play, your man that goes down is playing roaring and shouting, and everyone else is playing on you, but when the whole team is, something's not right.
There was, if I remember from the breakaway, there was 3 Dundalk players instead of chasing after the ball.
Yeah,
they chased after the referee, so that tells me that it was possibly should have been a penalty, like. But
yeah, I was disappointed with Dundalk.
Me too.
They should have put more of a fight up like they did against Shamrock Rovers. And I think look, we don't know what that story was.
It faded, didn't it, Cian? As the game went on, they got worse and worse. I felt
they were awful, and like they were really bad towards the end of the year. Oh, sorry, the end of the season, or the end of the game. They were really poor, and Bowles just grew into the game, and Bowles went 1-up without doing that, and then they didn't have to do that because Dundalk weren't really pushing them. So I was very impressed with Bowles. I thought Tierney was unbelievable. He was getting a lot of credit, but a lot of people didn't really give Ali Coote the credit he deserved in that game. I thought he was excellent, picking up spaces and just really nullifying Dundalk. Chris Shields just is not used to that. He wasn't he didn't have a bad game as such, but usually when you're playing in Dundalk, you're playing with a number 6 in front of the back, and in front of the back four, and you're sitting, and Chris Shields is getting the ball, picking it up, and creating space and stuff. But the way Bowles, like Tierney, was on him like a rash, and he was excellent. And I have to say, I was really, really impressed with Bowles. And I said it, like they will be right up there. It was just a matter of when they got that win. And I think, look, this win is going to come now, and they're going to breathe off that next week now, hopefully, and really push back up where they belong, because we need, in this league, we need to see a Bowles side back up there. It's great as well, and I have to be honest, Dundalk really disappointed me in the game. I expected Bowles to win on 1-0. It went exactly how I expected, but I was really disappointed that Dundalk didn't put it up to them. And look, the manager, we don't know what the story is. There's supposed to be a meeting today. Don't know what the crack is that way, but if it can't, like, this Dundalk team needs to be up there, and these players are coming in on big wages, and the team, I don't even want to look at the money that's being spent on the team. It frightens you. So I'd be a little bit worried now if I was Dundalk, especially with Pats next week, who are obviously flying, and I'd be really, like, if you're gonna jump ship, do you do it now? Like, that's the question I'd be asking, and I can't see it getting better for a while. It doesn't, like, I'm like looking at Derry City. It's only a matter of time, I feel, before they start picking up a few points and stuff like that. But looking at Dundalk, I'm a little bit worried, because I'm looking at how they're playing and the players they have, and they're not creating the chances that they should be. They're not bossing teams like they should be.
They're wide open against attacks as well, which is huge. Wide open.
Dan Cleary had an awful game. He was absolutely awful in the game. I thought, and he was awful against Finn Harps as well, and he was awful. I think it's just stupid passes. These stupid passes that he's trying to do. Like, he's trying to do 40, 50-yard diagonal passes. Keep it simple. You're under pressure, and you're just giving the ball straight back to them. I don't know. It frustrates me when I see a team that's so good, like, just drop off like this, and like I said it last year to you, Keith, when we were speaking. I was saying, Filippo won the cup or whatever, whether it was Filippo, now we don't know, but Filippo was in charge and he won the cup, but I still said they needed someone else. They needed to get a man in there, and they still need somebody that is just going to look after the team and the club, like a one-man team. I think I'm sick of looking at this, and 1 week Filippo's in the stand, the next week he's bleeding, roaring and shouting on the sideline. Shane Keegan, you don't know who's in charge. It's very frustrating. And, for the team to where they were, to where they are now, like, these are the biggest disappointment in the league. Derry, Bowles, all them, they'll be grand. I think Dundalk are in a bit of trouble at the minute.
Yeah, JP, like, I'll get on to you now about that. And in fairness, like, the question is not who's in charge, in a way, Filippo or Keegan, but I've heard quite a lot of rumours. Now, I'll only call it rumours for now because there's no proof, but the chairman apparently is having a big input in who's picking the players. If that's the case, I mean, good night. It doesn't matter who comes in as the manager next.
That's the chairman.
Yeah.
Or let him manage the team.
Yeah.
If that's the case, it's absolutely ridiculous and shambolic.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Those rumours go way back to last summer, don't they? Before even Fanny Perth was dismissed.
The phone in the dugout, wasn't it, or something?
And Gary Rogers taking throw-ins because he's a basketball coach, and or Brian Gertland, sorry, was it? Look, it looks an absolute mess from the outside looking in. I thought Dundalk would have took positives from the performance against Shamrock Rovers. I thought they would have taken it into this game against Bows, another team who were winless.
Yeah.
And I thought that Dundalk would have really used that as a platform to get this first win on their belt and start to kick on. But they're in a similar to us. They just don't look like scoring. They don't look like creating chances. If they're creating chances, it's coming from huff and puff. Keane said with Derry, you could probably see Derry picking up a few points and Dundalk. And I tend to agree. It's only a matter of time before one of us start to pick up points. Who gets the points first is going to be a big question, because Dundalk have St. Pat's on Friday, and then they go to Brandywell the following Friday. So that's going to be a very, very interesting game. if both teams haven't picked up a win over this next couple of days. But it looks to be a mess from the outside looking in, and I would say probably from a Derry perspective, probably outside looking in, it's probably looking like a mess as well. But Dundalk, for the money they've spent and the players that they've brought in, they should not be where they are. They really shouldn't be.
Well, it just shows if you're not managed correctly. I'm talking about that from a club perspective. It doesn't matter what players you have. Finn Harps 2, Waterford FC 1. Late drama in this game, obviously. I watched this one back after watching Sligo and Shamrock Rovers. And to be honest, even though it was a late goal from Webster, brilliant goal from Webster, after Foley had equalised John Martin's well-taken header, I thought Finn Harps were much better side throughout this, if I'm completely honest, and boss of Keane. What did you think?
Yeah, look, Finn Harps deserved the win. Really good. Look, you even look back on it, and it was your typical last gasp Finn Harps goal. But, I don't know if you've seen the picture, but there was like 5 men around him, and he still put it in the top bins.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent finish from Webby. I was really impressed. Look, Finn Harps are flying, and they're not going to be there at the end of the season, but. The more points to pick up now, the less chance they are of finishing where everyone expects them to finish. So, the more, while you're on a run, pick up as many as you can, because you see, look at Derry, you look at Dundalk, that could be Pats, that could be Finn Harps in 4 weeks' time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so the more times you pick up points while you're winning, great. Like Finn Harps will want that game now, want another game on Monday. They want another game on Friday. The games can't come quick enough. When... It's disappointing. I think disappointing to lose 2-1 to Harps, considering they scored in the last minute, I would say. But I have to say I thought they deserved it. Adam Foley has just been a breath of fresh air in this league this year.
He went off injured now. They're hoping it's not a bad muscle injury or something like that. Might be just a precaution, hopefully. But
he's not going to set the world alight. He's not going to play great. But if he picks up a goal a game or a goal every 2 games for Finn Harps standards, that's good enough for them, and absolutely excellent. Look, long may it continue for Harps the way they're playing. Fully deserving to the win, and that's it. I don't think the others were bad. I just thought Finn Harps just bossed it.
Yeah, JP, I mean, Finn Harps are now top of the league with Pats. They've 10 points. Derry have none. That must be tough to swallow at this stage of the season, even. It's mad to think, actually, that Finn Harps 10 points and Derry have none, actually. But what did you make of them in this game? What did you make of Waterford, actually, as well? Because Keane touched on it. I've watched Waterford in a few games this season, and they haven't been that bad, but they've been bossed in most of the games. It's a strange one, isn't it, with Waterford?
Yeah, I don't think... It is a tough pill to swallow, but look.
Sorry for doing that.
No, you're fine. Finn Harps, they are where they are. They deserve to be there. They started the season well. They're reaping the benefits of having stability in the dugout, because when you stability in the dugout, it then breeds stability on the field of play, and they're reaping the benefits of that. They've got quality in the squad, throughout the squad, from back to front. Normally they would have maybe 1 or 2 quality players, but they seem to have a squad of quality players now who work for one another, who dig in, and even when they go behind, they're never under any pressure. They always feel confident of coming back into the game. Adam Foley, as you touched on, he went off injured. He's the top goal scorer, I think, with 4 goals in the first 3 games. It's key to him. I think it's going to be key to keep him fit, to keep getting them goals. From a Harps point of view, they'll be hoping that the injury is nothing long term, and maybe he'll be back in a week or 2 or whatever, and maybe he's back in training. Who knows? But he's key to them. It's whether they can hang on to him, because with the goals that he's scoring, our clubs further. And no disrespect to Finn Harps, but our clubs maybe further up the league, it may be. Our clubs within the league with bigger budgets, may come looking for him, and it's the same with all the players. But I feel for as long as Ollie Horgan's there, they'll keep the majority of that squad together, and yeah, as Keane touched on it, they've 10 points on the board. Get the points on the board early means you don't have to be rushing around at the end of the season to get them. But at the same time, they've unbeaten in 4 games. That could quite easily turn in the same way that you've unbeaten at you haven't won in your opening 3 or 4 games. That could very easily turn. So at this stage of the season, it's just about getting points on the board, especially for the likes of Finn Harps, who the last few years have had a great escape at the end of the season, and I'm sure Ollie Horgan he'll be cautiously optimistic that he won't have to do that again this year.
Oh, absolutely. Excuse me. Longford Town 0, Drogheda United 4. Now, this was, I don't know, I thought this was a great performance from Drogheda. But to be honest, guys, I didn't think Longford Town were that bad for long stretches of the game. I thought Dylan Grimes was very unlucky to be on the losing side here. Keane, what did you make of the performance here, both sides?
It was as mad as it sounds, as a 4-0 game, it was actually even enough. I just thought Drogheda took their chances, and that was it. Drogheda really, they didn't get many chances in the game, you know.
I would say, just throw in quickly, I would say some of Longford's defending was ridiculous. I mean, for the Chris Lyons goal, I have no idea what they were doing there. The keeper in defence, what was that like? Did you see it, JP? I mean,
we haven't done Cork City yet. Hang on. Now, I have to say now, look, some of the defending, it's not like Longford. You can have them games. Look, I did say Drogheda would be disappointed that they were on the same points as Longford going into it, considering the side. But, you know, I think they showed who was boss here. And, you know, really, really, really good performance, and really one that, you know, really sends out a statement, because they've been doing well and they've been getting the results, or they haven't been getting the results, but they've been playing well, narrowly beaten in games. And, you know, I think they really needed this. Whether it was a 1-0 off the referee's arse, you take it. They really needed.
It doesn't count anymore.
2 more goals.
Yeah, you know, but they really needed. They really needed to win the game, no matter how they won it. They won it in a great bit of style, and that'll definitely give them confidence. But at the same time, if I was Darragh Doyle, I wouldn't be too bad when you think of it. Look, considering they were a promoted team, you'd like to think the gap would be a little bit closer. But look, you can get freak games in this league and freak results. So I wouldn't be too worried. But, you know, I think Drogheda really showed what they were about.
I think, JP, it's how Longford basically come back next week, and the mentality that they can show after such a defeat, because it can knock your confidence. But it'd be interesting to see, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. I think the only surprising thing from the one for Drogheda was the scoreline. I didn't expect them to win 4-0. I didn't expect Drogheda to lose the game either, but I didn't expect them to win 4-0. But it's a really good statement from Drogheda, because they picked up points in games that they probably weren't expected to, and now they're coming up. They got a draw against Finn Harps. That would have been the first match that they would have pinpointed to get their first point on the board, but they had 4 or 3. They had 3 points on the board prior to that, and now they got a point against Finn Harps coming from behind, and then they went out and they put Longford to sword. As Keane says, I watched bits and pieces of this game. It was very end to end in my point of view. Maybe not end to end, but both teams had their chances. But the second goal, I think it was, the keeper was coming and your man just nipped in about 10 yards in front of him and headed it past him. But look, Longford, it's all about how you respond. It's all about how they respond next week to this defeat. And if they can go out next week and put in a performance, even if they lose, maybe still lose, but if it's 1-0 defeat with the last minute, that to me would be a response to going, because you learn more from defeats than you do from wins, in my opinion.
Yeah, the game of the weekend, seemingly, lads, was Sligo and Shark Rovers. It finished 1-1. Obviously, Figueira scoring a late goal. Manus, you never see him do that. Gaffney with a very late goal. I actually thought, for the most part, this was a poor enough game, Keane. I don't know if you felt the same, did you?
Yeah, there wasn't much quality in it. I didn't expect it, because, you know, both teams, you don't want to lose. You know, you'd expect Rovers to be up there, and the way Sligo started, you expect them to be up there. So you don't want to be losing points to teams in and around you. So we expected a cagey game. Look, Sligo be disappointed he didn't hold on after going 1-0 up to that goal. Like it was like, look, it can happen. Like we're just after speaking about Lee Stacey's mistake there for Longford. You know what happens? Lee is a top keeper. He'll come back, and Alamanis is the best keeper in the league, hands down. He'll come back, and you know what I mean, there's nothing there. But it does show you, like, you know, people are human. We do make mistakes. Like Alamanis is in this league. I don't know how many years. If you're going back to his old spell as well, and I can't remember him actually making a mistake. So you know,
he's very good at Linfield as well. Before that,
yeah, absolutely superb goalkeeper.
Irish international.
You know, he's going to get you.
Northern Irish.
He's going to get you a couple of points, and look, it was disappointing from his end. I thought a draw is obviously a great result from a Pats fan, and I was kind of hoping Dundalk and Bowles was the same. But, you know, Sligo will be disappointed he didn't hold on, because I don't think Rovers were great. I say it every week, I don't think they're as good as last year. And, you know, I think the gap is closing. So they're just, I know they've played a game less, and the table probably doesn't look as good as it should be for them, considering they played a game less. But, you know, they'll probably fix that up on Tuesday night. We don't know. But I'm saying,
or JP tonight's getting a hammering.
I agree with him.
You know, you're looking at it and you're saying, this is where we're expecting Rovers now to really kick into gear. You know, you have a game against Derry, win that, and then you have a home tie again the weekend. You know, this is where you expect Rovers then to push themselves back up the table, back to where they should be. Look, they played a game less, so the table, like I said, probably doesn't look as pretty as it should for Rovers. But, you know, they'd be looking to correct that. I'd take a draw in Sligo any day. I wouldn't be too down if I was Rovers. I'd be delighted, considering, you know, they scored so late on against Pats after going behind so late. And, you know, the same thing again in Sligo. So you can't fault them. You really can't.
JP, I agree with that. I was just going to say there that they really went up through the gears though after Sligo scored. Like, it was like literally someone flicked a switch, and Bradley will be saying, "Look, that's great, guys, but why didn't we do that in the first half or at the start of the second half or whatever?" in that kind of way. But great character, I suppose. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what the surprising thing was. It was a lack of quality throughout the game until the last 5 minutes. I think the Walter Ferguera goal really opened the game up. I think the impressive thing from Shamrock Rovers is when they go behind, whether it's in the 80th minute, 85th minute, or the first minute, they're never beaten. They go to the end. I think they had more chances in between Sligo taking the lead and them equalising than what they did prior to that, because they had 3 or 4 good chances before they actually did equalise. And a Sligo point of view, they will be disappointed that they haven't held on because they've scored so late in the game, the same way St.Patrick would be after the first game of the season. But Sligo will be looking back on it and seeing it as a good point, but still disappointed. And again, against Dundalk, the first game of the season, they had a goal ruled out for offside. And this game, they had a goal ruled out for offside. So that's the fine margins of Sligo, who actually could be sitting top of the table with 4 wins out of 4, where last year they were sitting bottom of the table with 4 defeats out of 4. So it's a massive turnaround from their point of view. Shamrock Rovers will be desperate to get to July so they can get Richie Toyle in, because I feel if they'd lost Jack Byrne and kept McAniff, I think they would have been okay. But you can see they're struggling without that creative player in the middle of the park. Somebody get on the ball, drive forward with it, or just ping a pass from deep and get the strikers in behind. But I still fully expect Shamrock Rovers to win the league. But I think Stephen Bradley is probably desperate for July to come so he can get Richie Toyle in the door.
Brilliant stuff, guys. Thanks for coming on. Guys, subscribe if you're new, hit your bell notification button, and like the video. Thanks very much, lads.